For many years I have preferred the look of 400 speed black and white films. They're very, very flexible, have huge dynamic range and not such strong contrast as the slow speed materials. I've used a lot of T-Max 400, XP2 Super, nowadays HP5 Plus is my sort of favourite material. But what about the slow speed films? I mean, I've used those as well in the past, really enjoyed using them, and I haven't used them for quite a while. Sometimes use Delta 100 in the smaller format, but today with the Bronica, the 6x6 medium format camera, I'm going to shoot HP5 Plus but also Pan F50, a much slower, much contrastier film but also finer grained. So it'd be interesting to see how they compare. Right, well, I've got my first image set up now. It's taken me quite a while because I'm not prepared to take any old shot just because I might be out shooting two films. I still want the images to be good. It's not purely about testing film. Now this is quite an interesting shot because in amongst all the confusion of the woodland, you have to try and single out some sense of a shape, some form, and what I've gone for here is I'm trying to bring out the curves of one or two of the trees which are complementary to each other. So I've had to use a longer lens. I've used the 150mm lens, and that's cropped in, cut out the sky, cut out some distracting foreground, and really focused you in on the beautiful subtle bend of that main branch in the middle. Now the metering for this is quite straightforward because I don't have any huge areas of sky, or any area really of sky in the picture. I've gone for the spot meter reading on the inside of one of the branches, which is quite dark, but I want shadow detail there. I would love to be able to bring out a little bit of texture. I don't just want a silhouette, so quick spot meter reading. Nothing else is too excessive. Now the shutter speeds have come out at about 1 second for the HP5 Plus and about 8 seconds for the Pan F50. Little bit of movement with the wind, so the Pan F may show some foliage blowing around. Don't know yet. Well, I've moved on from the woodland. I wasn't really feeling it, so I've come to an area of farmland and I got some wheat growing in the background and it's just swaying beautifully in the gentle breeze, and I've put myself a yellow filter on there just to sort of separate some of the details because there's a bit of blue sky in the background, and it'll lift these foreground highlights because it's a beautiful sort of yellowy green colour, adding an extra stop there for the exposure. Again, Pan F, HP5 Plus. No problem with shutter speeds this time because there's plenty of light. Well, if it's not working, just go and do something else instead. Well, apologies for the brief intermission there. You know, sometimes you're just not feeling it and it's not working. Well, you can press on, but I was just not having fun. may have even come across in one or two of the clips. But anyway, it's the next morning, it's pre-dawn this time, I'm out again, I won't be defeated, and I'm heading along the local canal bank, going to try to find some more subjects to point my camera at. Well, I'm just hanging around at the moment. It's still pre-dawn, about 10 minutes to go. A little bit of light coming up in the sky. Yeah, got a few nice compositions and shapes around here, particularly like the tree and the reflection. And I've also got the old lockkeeper's cottage, which is always very photogenic. Now I'm just waiting for that light you can see approaching over the tree. Well, it's not really the light, it's the cloud catching the light. And then I'm going to take 2 frames. Now that will make such a difference, having that bright sky and bright cloud above. It won't take all the life out of it. If that was a dull cloud or a gin clear sky, I wouldn't shoot it at all. Now I absolutely love this sort of vegetation. It's perfect in black and white. I've shot it many times with large format and occasionally medium format too. It glows, it's got a beautiful, beautiful tonal range to it. It's very easy to shoot as well because there's hardly any dynamic range. Now the lighting is very soft at the moment, which is perfect. I don't want sunlight falling on these, creating harsh shadows. It's very diffused. Now, one of the issues with shooting such a slow film as Pan F here, and I'm down to about 15 seconds because it's f/22 and it's not that bright, is there will be some movement potentially if there's any wind whatsoever, but also there's the odd snail and other little insects moving around here, and they may actually be blurred. So that's my short morning's outing completed. Really enjoyed it, beautiful weather. I think I much preferred it this morning to yesterday, my head's there. And I will get back, let's have a look at some of the images side by side in Lightroom. Right, so I am back. Apologies for the interlude in the middle. I just completely lost all enthusiasm. Really serious case of meh. And I just went off to Liverpool and took some photos, which was far more enjoyable. And obviously when I got out the next day, I was a bit more enthusiastic and I managed to finish the rolls of film. Anyway, let's have a look now at Lightroom. These are the 3 images which I deem worthy of showing you today. I wasn't really massively impressed with the others. They were a bit lackluster and they didn't really illustrate the point. So let's have a quick look at the first pair of images. If I just get these side by side on the, let's put some information on it, there we go. On the left I have the Pan F image, the ISO 50, and on the right the HP5 Plus. These are straight out of scanner, no sharpening, no manipulations applied at all. This is as they came, if you like. So let's just have a quick zoom in to the area I was focused on. which is the tree trunk. Apologies for the performance, my computer is to blame. Really, I'm just looking at them side by side, they're both still loading. There is very little difference. I can see a little bit more shadow detail potentially in the HP5 Plus image, but apart from that, and that could be down to the scan, sharpness is pretty much the same. I am noticing more movement though in the ferns on the Pan F image, which isn't surprising because it was taken many seconds longer than the HP5 Plus image because it's 3 stops slower. So these ferns over here on the left are quite blurry, a little bit blurry on the HP5 Plus image. Same over here though, only a little bit of motion blur in the HP5, quite a lot in the Pan F, so that is really one of the shortcomings of the slower film. As I said, sharpness and grain don't really show any difference on this particular image because there are no large areas like clear skies, which is why I'm going to show you the next image to potentially give Pan F some advantages. So let's put them side by side again. Pan F on the left again, HP5 Plus on the right, and let's zoom in now on an area of sky. Now, I'm not sure how well this is coming across in the video, and I'll actually zoom in a bit further. I'll go in at 2:1 because 2:1 is obviously a 200% crop, and I hope now you can see that this area on the left is a lot smoother than the skies in the HP5 Plus image on the right. There's a marked improvement, if you like smooth areas of sky obviously, over the HP5 Plus image. In terms of the foreground, you don't really notice anything there even at 200%, and this is unsharpened of course, so sharpening will improve both images, but the sky is noticeably smoother. Again, on this Pan F image there's virtually no grain. It's practically grainless, whereas there is a grain pattern in the HP5 Plus image. Okay, so let's go to the final of my 3 selections. Now this is one where I'm fairly confident that my little friendly snail, which was moving throughout the exposures, will show a difference between the 2 films. Pan F on the left, HP5 Plus on the right. They look almost identical at this resolution, at this fixed screen resolution. I'm going to set them to 1:1, so 100% crop. Just let them load up because they do take a little bit of time because they're quite large scans. And if you look at them now, I really am struggling to see any real difference in these 2 images. Contrast, very similar, perhaps a little bit more open on the HP5 Plus image, but that might be my eyes kidding me. It's different if you're sat here, the video might not show it clearly, but look at them, plenty of detail, plenty of sharpness, and this is unsharpened of course at f22, so not bad lens performance. I'm really pleased with both films, but let's focus in on Mr. Snail here, who was moving during the exposure. Now on the right hand side, as you can see, he doesn't really show much movement because I was probably shooting around about, I don't know, a second or so. Whereas on the left, when I was getting to, what was it, 15 seconds I think I said? Yeah, he's moving, he's blurred, so less than ideal there. And obviously, in typical landscape situations, an ISO 50 is slow. It is slow. I much prefer the ISO 400 speeds. So overall, apart from the Pan F image having the smoother skies, and it would have smoother tonality throughout if you were shooting portraits, for example, or architecture, where there are large areas of smooth tones and you want that absolutely grainless look and beautiful sharp contrast in there, I would say Pan F is definitely an option, because also you can use flash with studio models and with buildings tend not to move, hopefully. Landscapes though, for me, I don't really see myself using particularly slow films. I think HP5 Plus has it all here for me. It's got the speed, I like a little bit of grain. Grain actually accentuates sharpness, believe it or not. If you have a totally smooth image, it doesn't look as sharp as one with a bit of noise or grain in there. It gives the eye something to latch onto. It's really important. So I would say personally, I am not going to be using Pan F for landscapes. I've only used it a few times over the last 30 years, and this probably explains why. In the smaller formats though, there may be times when I want to actually have crisper detail, a bit more contrast. If I'm shooting 35mm, but I would probably go for Delta 100 or maybe the new Acros, which is coming out, and I'll test that when it comes out against a batch of other slow speed films. So yeah, in conclusion, totally happy with my HP5 Plus in medium format and obviously in large format. Pan F, a beautiful film, a beautiful film, but just a little bit too slow for my landscapes. So yeah, there's the conclusion. I'm not changing anything. So great. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope you found it useful and interesting, and I will see you again soon.